a question, right? For those that claim the mark of the beast is a microchip, right? With everything going on in the earth, who's going to implement the mark of the beast? What nation is going to implement the mark of the beast? Because if you say it's all white people, you got to be specific, because obviously Russia is not doing what America is doing. China is not doing what America is doing. Iran is definitely not doing what America is doing. What nations or what white nation is going to implement the mark of the beast? Because if you say it's America, then obviously it ain't going to be the whole world. So this is where the doctrine kind of falls very short. It takes a deep dive very short. If the mark of the beast is going to be a worldwide thing and you can't eat, right, and drink and buy and sell, right, all of this stuff with a physical chip, the $1 million question is, who's going to implement it? And I'm going to leave y'all with that, right? Because obviously the nations ain't getting along. And whatever NATO's doing, BRICS ain't with it. And whatever BRICS is doing, NATO ain't with it. So who's going to implement it? This is why I don't subscribe, and neither do the servants subscribe to the mark of the beast being a microchip.
Yeah, Shai.
Shalom, giving all honor, all praise and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim, Rechak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. And as always, peace, blessings, and salutations unto the full elect tabernacle of David scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. So, Agent Chief Ephraim, and that's what I call him. I think dude is an agent. You know, that's just my personal opinion. You know, just given his pattern of behavior in the history. But he's asking the question about the MOTB. You know, who's going to implement it? You know, when and where, and you know, they get into these questions. You know, because they still can't see it, and ultimately it's because this dude is blinded, and it's not meant for him to see it. All right, this dude, he's been out there for years. You know, he called himself, you know, one of the pull-up boys. I guess he retired that. He's no longer a pull-up boy. You know, he's always constantly changing. You know, which is why I never really trusted dude. But that question is really easy if you paid attention, and also if you understand the prophecy. Because if we're talking about the MOTB, the M is what we're focused on. The B is who issues it. It's who's going to have the authority to be able to enforce it. So if you can break down what the beast is, if you know who the beast is, then that's your answer to who's going to enforce the mark. Are we serious here? What kind of question is that? It's called the mark of the beast. The M-O to B to bruh. It's called the mark of the beast. Get it? Mark of the beast. So who is the beast? All right, what countries consist of the actual beast? What are the 7 heads? What are the 10 horns? And what is America's connection to the beast? We know that the whore rides the beast, the scarlet colored beast. So, I mean, he's not going to understand it. You know, no matter how plain we make it, because it ain't meant for guys like this. Now, matter of fact, what I'm gonna do is, let me just start off with this precept, or this. Let me start with this proverb. This is Proverbs 14. Where is it at? Here it is. I skipped it. This is Proverbs 14, verse 6. It says, "A scorner seeketh wisdom." And even John a Revelator, right, when he got the vision of the mark, he saw the technology. He saw all these people, you know, with this mark in their hand or in their head, and they was able to, you know, do transactions financially. They was able to, you know, maneuver and operate under this system that everybody up under the beast had to integrate into. All right, and he even broke down the number. You know, here is wisdom, right? And it goes into the calculation of the number of the man, right? So a scorner, you know, somebody who's, you know, they're coming in a scornful, you know, spirit, right? He's totally in opposition, but you're trying to seek the answer, and that's what a lot of our scoffers do. You know, we know that they're trying to be slick. They're not really trying to be sincere out of pride, but they're still trying to get that answer by trying to ask these kind of questions. All right. You already see the IUIC. They're already trying to position themselves into being the ones that told their congregation that they warned about it, even though for over a decade they taught against it, which is why they keep on trying to alterate and change their stance on what the MOTB is. They're starting to come around, but they still, the only thing that they still in denial of is that CHIP. But they do know that it's there. Years ago, Nate taught that there is no chip. The famous clip, all right, ain't no microchips. It's June. Well, we in June now. All right, and they know that CHIP is definitely out there, and there's people with it already. All right, just because you refuse to see it doesn't mean that it's not happening or it's not in effect. It just hasn't been fully implemented to where you have to mandatorily take it, where you will have no choice, because that's what it's going to boil down to. The scriptures say in Revelation 3:10 that there's going to be an hour of temptation that's going to try everybody in the earth. And he said those who keep the word of his patience, he will keep them from the hour of temptation. So it says, a scorner seeketh wisdom and findeth it not, meaning you're not going to get what you're asking for, because the Lord's going to, you know, keep you blind and ignorant, because you're not one of his. But knowledge is easy unto him that understandeth. Go from the presence of a foolish man when thou perceivest not in him the lips of knowledge. You know, so, you know, we can, you know, go back and forth with you, but we know that at the end of the day, you know, it's not going to seep in. All right. So it would be a waste of time, but I mean, you can easily do the research. Now already, you know, when you go into Revelation 13, where it's first spoken of, Revelation 13, start at the 11th verse. And it says, Revelation 13:11, it says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb and spake as a dragon. Which I don't know how he breaks it down or how he understands this verse, but we understand what it means and how to break it down. All right, shit. You got Trump, who we believe is Nero coming back. You know, one of the ancient Roman Caesars, because this is the extension of the Roman Empire resurfaced on the earth. And we know that America got its independence from Great Britain, which was one of the heads of the beast. All right, which is also part of the 10 horns. So this dragon, you know, he's speaking with force and is very tyrannical because of the laws and legislations, the executive orders that will be implemented. And you even said the key words. Look what's going on around the world. Exactly. This is exactly what they orchestrated. They want chaos worldwide to narrow down the population, the numbers of the people, and they also want total control. And what are some of the metrics or the methods to controlling the world? Surveillance, biometrical technology, AI, all right, digital payment systems. Those are all different methods that they're able to use to keep track of everybody. You got Palantir that they all of a sudden rolling out because of what's going on in the world. You know, we might have sleeper cells in the country. We have a lot of illegal immigrants in the country. We don't know if, you know, a domestic terror plot can take place on our soil. So we need to have a reason to bring this biometrical digital technology so we can gather all this data information on every being on the soils of Babylon. So this is what's going on, all right? It says, and he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and that's talking about the Roman Empire, the ancient Roman Empire, is exercising the same power and authority. It says, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he make a fire to come down from heaven on the earth and in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast. All right, the beast. All right, what are we talking about? We're talking about the Roman Empire, and NATO and America is a replica. All right, these European nations, countries, along with America, is a replica of the ancient Roman Empire. Its infrastructure, you know, its political structure, or even down to, you know, the architecture, the fashion, the bread and circus, the you know, the gladiators, Terrence Crawford and Canelo. They finna go at it, you know, here at the Allegiant Stadium here in Vegas in September. So that's another bread and circus or gladiator event to distract the masses from the fact that Babylon is imploding economically, and everybody's gonna watch it. I know, I'm gonna watch it, but I'm still watching everything else too, as a watchman. It says, which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Right? So that's how much authority that they'll have, that, you know, if you go against the grain, you go against this system, all right, your views are not in sync with the status quo, right? You're going to be deemed an enemy. a potential terrorist, revolutionary, whatever, whatever they categorize you. Just like in the Lord's time when you had those rebels, and then, you had Yahushai, they mistook him for one of the rebels because he had a following, and people were opting to, under the influence to not follow after the Roman system. So people that were going against the Roman system at the time, you was being persecuted. And that led to, multiple things, whether you was banished, imprisoned, or whether you were, crucified, beheaded. So in this instance, it's going to be the same way. You don't get involved in this system. You're going to be interrogated. You're going to be looked at as somebody that might be a threat to society, because you don't want to play ball. You're not finna, comply and conform, to this system, because they're pumping it up like it's a religion in itself. They've been saying that AI is going to be like a godhead, so it's going to require everybody to be involved and participate. All right. So just think of it in that way, how they're treating the so-called illegals, banishing them up out of here because they don't have the so-called documentation, which everything's going to go digital. To prove your identification, you're gonna have to prove it digitally. And they already have digital identification systems in various countries around the world. All right, and here in the States, it's already runs in several states, but the whole world is going to implement that. You got the World Economic Forum. Do you even watch any of those meetings that they had? Footage from their different World Economic Forum meetings at Davos, and the type of futuristic things that they are trying to bring forth. We know what it says in Psalms the 64th chapter, that they would basically conspire. They would King David said, "Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity." The plot of evildoers, man. They lay snares privily. They say, "Who shall see us?" It says, "And he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond." So that's all statuses. All right, whether you are great in influence, you're very significant, highly known in society, a celebrity, a politician, whatever, rich or poor. So it don't matter if you're, very wealthy, you got a lot of money. A lot of people that got a lot of money, they will have a lot to lose. So in order to maintain and keep those possessions, like some of these sellout Israelite camps, leaders of these camps, they're going to think back to the riches that they sitting on, and it's going to influence them to make the decision. They're going to want to keep it. So therefore, they're going to have to come up under the system and take that mark. It says, "and poor." You're going to have people that are, desperate because they don't have anything. So they're going to be willing to, enter and get this implant because they need it. And when they realize that, if you participate, you'll get income. You'll probably get a monthly income, because AI is going to replace everything. Nobody's going to be able to work, So they're going to roll out what they call UBI. I think they call it a new term now, but people are going to get, their monthly payments. And I'm pretty sure it'll go right on that device. And that's what Aaron Russo was referring to in that interview. It says, "in their right hand or in their foreheads." and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark. And what is the word mark in the Greek? Of course, charagma, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here's wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. But if you're a scorner, you're gonna seek to know it, and you probably still not gonna understand. All right, because you're one of the ones that the Lord blinded. Okay. So what I did was I just typed this in: what countries have the most implanted population, microchip population, and it gives you the information. It says while precise data is limited, Sweden is widely recognized as having the highest number of people with microchip implants. So it's a great number of people in Sweden that already got it. And I remember going back to when you had the lockdowns, when the COVID operation was taking place. They were one of the main countries who left their country open. Nothing was shut down the whole entire time this whole thing was going on. You know, everybody else was forced on lockdown. Sweden was widely open. And I had to put two and two together. I had to think about that. Why they get this treatment? You know, so COVID doesn't is not too fond of Sweden or something. No. The population over there is already under the objective that the elites already want. All right, what they want for the rest of the world. All right, it's one of the countries of the beast. Europe. It says, followed by other European countries and North America. The beast and the whore. All right, which the whore rides the beast. So it all ties in. The mark of the beast. So this is why the populations with the most microchip or implants happen to be in Europe or in America. Now you have other countries that are in development. You have different biometric payment system programs as well. You got Walletmart that's based in London, which we know London. You know, the whole banking industry got its roots tied back to London, England, which is where the Rothschilds, one of the international banking families, dwell. All right, and you got other payment systems, Vent Pay. You got what was the other one? I think it's called DigiWell. Look up DigiWell. DigiWell payments. That's also in Europe. Let me do this. DigiWell is a multi-faceted initiative with the overarching goal of promoting digital well-being and security. And this is all these type of companies. They all are, pushing the wave of digital surveillance, digital identification, contactless payments. That's what all these different companies that are being rolled out over the past decade. That's what it's intended to do, and it's part of the conditioning of society, getting you conditioned to, this overall system. All right. It says it encompasses various programs and projects, including a European Union funded project focused on adult education and digital resilience, a research project investigating the impact of digital technologies on individuals and society, and a platform providing resources and training for digital well-being and security. You type in DigiWell payments, me see. I just clicked on this site right here. And it says, this individual says, so I recreated the FlexPay 1 from DigiWell. And this is based in Germany. I bought a micro card and sent it to DT just like DigiWell. The next batch from DigiWell drops at the end of this month. I didn't want to wait though. I have the exact same C-hip as the DigiWell and IR implants use. So they have implants. And this is back in August of 2020. So people have already voluntarily received it. This is everybody that did it voluntarily. So how many more people are going to end up getting it when it's actually enforced? Because the prophecy says that he's going to cause them to do it. All right. He can do it by law. He can do it by coercion. He can coerce the people like they did in 2020, 2021 with those shots. And even IUIC, the Deacon Malachi, talking about if that was the test run, that was the, if you took that jab, then you more than likely going to take the mark. And we was the only ones, one of the only Israelite groups that was saying that first when this was all going down. We always was consistent about that. We said that, hey, if you don't have faith and you give in and you take that stuff, you're going to definitely take the MOTB. We always said that, hey, that whole thing, that whole operation was like the midterm, and the MOTB is going to be the final exam. All right. If you pass that test, the MOTB is going to be a little harder, but if you was able to pass that test, then hey, you may fare well when the hour of temptation comes. So let's go to Revelation 3 and 10. And it says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation. Right? Because that's going to be a trial, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Okay? And you should already know the judgment of those who take it. All right? Because y'all don't get specific. Y'all try to say it's talking about sin or it's talking about philosophy. So when it comes to buying and selling, what philosophy is going to be required in order for you to buy and sell? When you go and do your shopping, when you got to go to work, all right, what philosophy are they going to require from you? Like as if they're going to have some kind of mind reader, all right, and at every establishment to be able to sense, what you know and what you think and what philosophies you believe, to where they'll excuse you and allow you to continue on with your transactions. Make that make sense. Or even sin. What particular sin? Be specific. Because, he got all these questions about this, which it's so late in the game at this point. Why don't y'all answer? Y'all never answer the questions that we ask. I still got, just like I had a series where I asked these questions. It was like 10 questions for vocab and these Christians to answer, and nobody really tries to answer them. I've actually did 2 series of a set of 10 questions for the Christians. They never answer it. I set up one for you different Israelite camps. Some MOTB questions. And it's going to make me re-upload it. Why y'all never answered our questions concerning this? So That's your answer. And based on what I've found, you just type just a Google, doing a Google search, is mainly European countries and Americans. And that's the beast and the whore. All right. And that technology is adopted in other places as well. But the judgment is going to be focused on who? Babylon, the great whore, the beast. And these nations they're going to get to see the judgment from afar. So if you can't understand that, then hey, you're not a real prophet. You're not a real true watchman. You know, you're like it says in Isaiah 56, starting from verse 10 on down. You know, dumb dogs loving to slumber that cannot bark. You know, blind. So anyway, I'm gonna give all honor, all praise, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. This is my response. Lord willing, y'all are edified. Until the next one, Shalom.